Last time we talked about the wall of shit of the European Union. Now we talk about those guys who actually created this wall and like to use it quite a lot. The Council of the European Union, which is not the Council of Europe. Politicians may be very creative when it comes to making agreements and compromises, but when it comes to naming something, they totally suck. I mean, European Financial Stability Facility. I mean, come on. Okay, but now we have this naming mess. So let's deal with it. The thing I will not talk about, the Council of Europe. It is based in Strasbourg and has almost nothing to do with the European Union. People meet there, talk, and they pass resolutions or something without any real political power. It's kind of like the United Nations of Europe, if you want. Because of its non-enforcing nature, it has many members. 47 countries, including Turkey and Russia, with 820 million citizens. The European Union has only got 28 countries and 480 million citizens. But well, it's like comparing people who are just members of a club to people who actually do all the fucking work. Today, the Council of Europe is maybe not that up to date anymore. But in the beginning of the European integration, it was. The Council of Europe actually created the flag of the European Union in 1955, after going through a lot of other proposals like these. Only 30 years later, in 1985, the European Union adopted the flag. By the way, the 12 stars have nothing to do with the amount of countries, it is just a symbol for unity. Whenever you hear something else, it's bullshit. But let's not talk so much about the Council of Europe. It is a nice institution with many people who want to do good, but they just don't have any real power. So let's move to the Council of the European Union. So the Council of the European Union, or just the Council, how it is often named, is an organ of the European Union. Officially, it is just one council, but it means in different configurations. Basically, this means it consists of many little councils if you want. In these configurations or little councils, the ministers of the member states meet. The foreign ministers meet in the foreign affairs configuration. The agriculture ministers meet in the agricultural and fisheries configuration, and so on and so on. The most prominent one may be the economic and financial affairs configuration, which is often abbreviated by the term ECOFIN. Here, the economic and finance ministers meet, and sometimes the budget ministers as well, if there are budgetary issues to be discussed. When the European Commission issues a law proposal, the Council scrutinizes it and may make amendments, which are then again overlooked by the European Parliament. In the end, the Council may even abolish the piece of legislation, but how that works comes later. In academic literature, the Council of the European Union is often explained in the same chapter as the European Council, which is understandable. The European Council is the meeting point of the head of states. Whenever you see this, it was most likely a meeting of the European Council. The European Council has no legislative powers, so it may not issue any laws. But this doesn't mean it's powerless. In the description of the homepage it says, "The European Council provides the Union with the necessary impetus for its development and defines the general political directions and priorities thereof. It does not exercise legislative functions." This sounds like But in fact, this description is actually pretty similar to most descriptions how the head of states of the member states actually work. The European Council defines the overall strategy. It decides on the real big issues which are not handled on lower levels. The best example here is the euro crisis. All important decisions, like rescue packages, were decided here in the European Council. And it seems like the people there really argued a lot with each other. But the public doesn't know about it because the European Council is probably the most intransparent political institutions in the whole of Europe. The only written documents about the meetings are found in the so-called Antici protocols. These Antici protocols are not accessible to the public. Two journalists, though, Kerstin Gammelin and Raimund Löw, got these protocols in their hands and wrote this very interesting book. It's called Europe's String Pullers, Who Really Reigns in Brussels. It's about how Angela Merkel fought against the motion that fighting poverty is written in the EU treaties, and it is about how she dominated the European Council during the euro crisis. At least until Hollande finally showed some balls by teaming up with Italy and Spain. Well, at least for once. I will tell you more about this later. The important thing here is how these protocols are actually crafted. One guy is in the room in the European Council for 15 minutes. Then he gets out and is replaced by another guy for the next 15 minutes. The one who is out of the room then tells another guy what he just heard. The other guy then writes everything down and sends this piece of paper to the national delegations, where it is kept secret. It's kind of like Chinese whispers. What? French on the French-German borders like to nuke Germany? No, commute to Germany, commute! Ha, just kidding, man. I know the French are all communists. But no, this is not the real problem. The authors point out that the system actually works pretty fine and that there are no mishearings as such. The real problem is 28 powerful democratically elected people of the European Union are sitting in a room, are making very important decisions, and you have no clue how these decisions were made. And in the end, they all step out to their national media peers and say, "We won!" Isn't it a bit strange that everyone wins, but people in Greece commit suicide because they cannot afford their rent? Through this intransparency, it is easy for Merkel, Cameron and co. to blame everything bad on the European Union. It is not only that they decide how the European rescue mechanism works, which is loaded with 400 billion euros to save countries and destroy social security measures. The European Council decides what the European Union stands for. They sign the treaties, the ones I spoke about the last time. They are the ones who actually put up the whole framework. And in the last 10 years, the European Council consisted mainly of members of conservative parties. In fact, in 2012, 15 out of the 27 countries had a conservative government, followed up by 3 seats of independent parties. With the latest elections, the power shifted a bit, but still 12 countries are led conservative, plus Great Britain, because the governing Tories do not want to be associated with the continental conservatives. They are just not right enough. So, if you ever wondered why the European Union is just about money, economy and business, you got the answer right here. Because the people of Europe mostly voted for parties who just see money, economy and business and not the environment, the poverty or the unemployment. Europe gets what Europeans want. This is the bitter truth. But then it is just easier to just blame everything on Brussels, or if you want to make it more sophisticated, the European Commission. As I stated in the last episode, The European Commission, therefore, is just the wall of shit and is not only attacked by national politicians who do not take responsibilities for their actions. It is as well a scapegoat for people who do not fucking care how this whole EU thing works. And these people most probably don't go voting because fuck it, it's all for nothing anyway. Well, we see in the next episode who you actually vote for and why it is not that unimportant, but somehow not that important either. Until next time.